Hello and welcome back to the Heroes HGC here in SEA, where we just had our semifinals in the lower bracket. I'm back here with Riku as we head into the lower bracket finals.
Super, super stoked about this. I mean, we've seen Playstomp perform against Detergents, and Deadlykittens is definitely, we've seen them perform so well, but then these past few series, not so much.
It was a little bit disheartening for me. I think that team has a ton of potential, especially what they showed in day number one. Coming up a little bit short there, but Playstomp's obviously showing that they have what it takes to get this far. They also have what it takes to get to this lower bracket finals against Deadlykittens, where this is actually a rematch of a series we had in the early part of yesterday. Playstomp did take a game off Deadlykittens, highly contested series, but Deadlykittens was able to hold on. This is a different day, a new day. We see Playstomp's already been warmed up for the day. Deadlykittens has been waiting the entire day. I'm sure they've been watching. I'm sure they're ready, as we all are here for this final series to see who goes into the grand finals.
Super stoked because we saw the adjustments of what Deadlykittens tried to do when they lost that first game against Playstomp. They decided to go for that aggressive early rotations where Playstomp was just forced to just respect all the damage in the world coming from Deadlykittens. And I'm kind of curious for this game number one. There's still room for experiment in terms of it's still not over, but still for Playstomp, they have the momentum for themselves. They've been winning all these series from the lower brackets. So I'm curious about what's going to happen for Dragonshire.
Dragonshire is our first map, of course, picked up by Deadlykittens. No surprise there. Deadlykittens did ban Braxis while Playstomp not wanting to fight on Battlefield of Eternity. Those were our bans, but Deadlykittens, we've talked about it at length over the first few days. They've been known, even in their old roster and their newer roster here, replacing Mur and Zays. They love Dragonshire. They feel that it's their best battleground to excel on. No surprise that it's going to be our first map of this series picked up by DK, so expect to see some potential Dahaka Illidan, I think, coming out on the side of Deadlykittens. But on the same side, we've also seen NSJ play a lot of Genji. So heavy contention, I think, on some of these aggressive style heroes that we know Deadlykittens likes to play.
Speaking of what they want to play, Garrosh has been picked by Deadlykittens and by Playstomp as well. And they've shown how they know how to utilize that hero against the match earlier. So I'm kind of wondering, is this going to be, a ban Garrosh, or they're willing to, let that out free, let that out in the open, and see whoever takes it out on the match?
When I see Garrosh, you oftentimes think of the battlegrounds, which he kind of excels on. In early game Dragonshire, you have that contention over the shrines. You try and channel both of them. Garrosh has easy, predictable targets. You can kind of gather them up, throw them back. But the minute the game gets later and later and later, he becomes kind of like an ETC to me in that he's a playmaking style hero without the mobility. ETC does have mobility, but it's generally going in as opposed to getting out. But then he becomes susceptible to poke. But then what type of poke is bad? What type of poke is good? We've seen some Chromie counters in some of our other regions, but we haven't quite evolved yet enough. We haven't seen enough Garrosh games, but it's something that Deadlykittens might be running. And so then you see that he's susceptible to burst damage, but he falls into the category of, well, if I don't have anything to do, I'm just kind of standing here waiting to grab somebody. If I don't, I'm susceptible to poke. So I'm curious what we'll see from these teams on Dragonshire. Again, we've seen the heavy priority towards Genji for NSJ, following into the Dahaka, and potential Illidan for the hunt. Try and get that global pressure, and then pick and choose your team fights.
Exactly. In terms of power picks for both of these teams, they're quite similar. And if I look at, confidence, we've seen him on mages like Kael'thas, Chromie, Li Ming, and then suddenly on the Tassadar. So I'm pretty sure the prio picks for this series in particular is definitely going to change, except for the Genji.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Genji ends up just getting banned out. And then when we talk about warriors in particular, Garrosh, I think one hero that will probably see high priority in this draft, especially on Dragonshire, will be that Stitches. We've seen a lot of Stitches lately. The Lunara especially could kind of counter a lot of these heroes. So I think what we've seen through SEA for the first day and a half so far, a lot of priority towards Lunara, a lot towards Stitches as we get ready to head into game one here on Dragonshire to get this series underway.
Yes, sirree. We've seen whenever, there are teams that are actually confident enough to let the Genji be picked by Deadlykittens. It is only because it never really showed a huge amount of win rate, because sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't, but we'll find out soon as we head into the draft here for our game number 1 between Deadlykittens versus Playstomp.
I'm ready. This is Deadlykittens' chance to say, look, we've been waiting, we've been watching Playstomp, that game that they took off us, the competitive series that we had. We're the better team. Deadlykittens obviously struggled at the end of yesterday against Resurgence. They would love to have that rematch as Resurgence, waiting in the wings of the grand finals, have their eyes firmly locked to the series right now.
Definitely eyes on the prize this time. I can imagine the drafting really good. They're going to take their sweet time. But now that I think about it, they placed a lot on, there we go, Genji. They placed a lot priority on either Tassadar. They've also decided sometimes on the Stitches. But it really depends. Oriole, not so much, especially day 2.
Now, Oriole, again, the results on day 1, pretty abysmal. Recently, it's still been pretty rough. You know, we've seen her in nonstop double supports, and a lot of teams are having trouble executing that. Deadlykittens, you know, we talked about the Oriole. Maybe you let the Oriole through, but if you ban Tassadar, you can expect the enemy team to pick up the Oriole. It's kind of a weird play around the draft right now if you think that they're going to go that, but then you have to look at your heavy hitters, and it's going to be Lunara, the Greymane, and the Stitches. So giving up one and then picking up 2 of the other leftovers, depending on how Deadlykittens want to play this. Maybe they don't ban out the Tassadar, give up Oriole, then pick Tass for themselves. Or they want Oriole for themselves so you don't ban one or the other. Instead, they're going to keep it standard and keep the Oriole off the battlefield.
Let's see what they're going to be first picking, because in terms of like support, they're still pretty fine. Their pool is very healthy. They're comfy with whatever. So are they going to first pick Tassadar for this one? That is the huge question.
I'd be surprised if they don't. Tassadar allows for some interesting flexibility, and not so much in team fights. If you look at it from a macro perspective, it allows him to kind of stay in that middle lane and then rotate as needed without the real threat of him going down because that dimensional shift. So Tassadar can kind of stay there, support as needed, rotate down, turn a 3-man into a 4-man, and try and put pressure bottom lane. I haven't seen a lot of that out of SEA. I'd love to see it a little bit different. I think Playstomp not willing to commit to that, so they pick up the Tyrael. And again, I think that right now you've got to look at Stitches, Greymane, and Lunara. And the scary thing for Deadlykittens is that, you know, we know NSJ plays a lot of Greymane. If you don't pick up Greymane, you run the risk of giving up a Greymane Tyrael, which is a killer dive comp that a lot of teams don't want to face off against.
Definitely. We've seen a few teams execute that well in terms of like Tyrael, Greymane combo, but do not forget that Deadlykittens is also very proficient in the Vala. Do you think Vala is okay? It's a comfy pick.
You can go Tass Vala, I think, in this rotation if you want to. I think that teams have kind of fallen away from that a little bit, you know, with the Tassadar changes as of late. If Tassadar makes it out of this rotation, I wouldn't be terribly surprised. A Tass Tyrael isn't exactly the composition that screams greatness, because generally, if you pre-shield a Greymane before he goes in, it's to make sure and keep him alive. But you already have the Sanctification, so you're kind of double dipping into something. And it's not as, the synergy's not perfect. It's not bad.
Yes.
But the Tassadar does end up getting picked up by Lunara. The fact that Tyrael's already picked up on the side of Playstop, you can go into Stitches or something else after the second ban.
This opens up, just as you said, Greymane, Stitches, Vala, if they want to go, you know, quite standard, quite safe. But we'll see, because I am looking at the Deadly Stomp. Wow, I am combining names now. Tyrael, they paired that up with a Tassadar last time. And they also played Leoric.
Leoric's okay for the solo laner. Again, I think we'll see some heavy contention towards Dahaka, mostly on the side of Deadlykittens. Playstomp could run that. And the thing about picking the Lunara up here is that if you wanted to go Tyrael, Uther, Greymane, which is a great dive comp, Lunara really deals with that Uther with the spread damage, as does Tassadar. And so there's one way to do it. Tyrael, kind of like a supplementary support in a very minuscule way. He's got that shield, that AoE shield for his team. Illidan has self-heal. Uther's going to be able to provide that big heal, that shield there. So interesting pickup here. The Uther committed to the Illidan.
Exactly, and it's also a nice takeaway as well from Deadlykittens. I mean, if they don't get their Genji, it's fine. They can also play Illidan, and with that Tassadar on their side as well. So they decide to just, you know what, we can take it, and let's see what they're going to be banning as they're hovering over to Greymane here, which is understandable.
Yeah, I do not want a Tyrael diving in with a Hunt Illidan with a with an Uther Divine Shield in the back pocket for a Greymane coming in. There's no way I want to deal with that right now. I think Greymane is a perfectly safe option to ban out. Greymane fits very well into the 4-man, allowing Illidan to continue to be the solo. And I think that's a very safe ban and an understandable ban on the side of Deadlykittens.
Definitely a wise choice here, but I'm thinking about what protection options does Deadlykittens have. They're still lacking their healer, they're still lacking their front line, and of course, I would still love to see an additional damage dealer. We've seen a pairing from the Lunara paired with a Malthael in terms of melee close range damage, which is, you know, not surprising at all. It's a very common pair for SEA, especially during day number 2. But for Playstomp, who is going to be your ranged damage dealer?
Yeah, there was still a lot of good options. Arthas obviously is an excellent counter towards Illidan. Maybe we'll see the Murden coming out here from Deadlykittens. Good sustain. Does have the block feature. Does have the attack speed slow against Illidan.
If they do pick up Malthael, it's actually also a takeaway. It's a comfort pick from Playstomp rather. But Sonya being picked.
Stronger. The thing about, I don't see Malthael being picked up, especially when you already have the Illidan. That's a little bit too all in on the melee range. The Rhaegar pickup, I like that. Sonya's a good counter towards Illidan when it comes to late game team fighting. You can get that stun. I think we definitely are going to need to see a tank with some good CC. ETC's available. I think Murden might just be a better, more all-around better option. But I love the Sonya pickup. It gives you that solo laner. You have a great 4-man composition between the Tassadar, Lunara. I talked about Tassadar sitting in that mid lane, can help support up top. Vala is going to be that range damage dealer, and a double support right wing.
Interesting. Illidan goes in, Brightwing goes with you.
I love the Brightwing more for the fact that the minute Whirlwind comes out for Sonya, you just polymorph, and then also if Illidan's top lane, you use Brightwing to come in, kind of bait out the Sonya, make the Sonya feel comfortable to come up to contest that shrine, use Brightwing as the global, get the polymorph onto Sonya, try and get that early game kill. There's a lot of good playmaking potential with Brightwing. The double support, we're seeing it again though.
Very, very solid from Playstomp. Again, 2v1 potential if ever, especially against Sonya, just as you said. But we'll see. For the last pick, Deadlykittens, very crucial here, as again, momentum-wise, ETC is what they decide.
It's the better playmaking. Right? You know, you've got the potential for Mosh, and to be honest with you, I don't even know if we'll see Mosh this game. We might see the stage dive. Give yourself that global that you don't have. Try and get some late-game playmaking potential out of the stage dive. Mosh Pit seems like it'll be there, but between Sanctification, between Hunt, between Uther Stun, between Polymorph, potential Rain of Vengeance, Mosh Pit's not going to see a lot of value. You got to hit the absolute dream Mosh if you're going to get in there. I'd be surprised if we see Mosh, if it's anything other than Rain of Vengeance. Strafe is appealing to a certain extent, but I just don't see that happening. So Stage Dive might be a thing. That's why I said Murden, I think, might be a little bit better option. You have the good control. The minute Illidan dives in, just press W. you can kind of go into that route. Good survivability, can contest the shrines a little bit better. A bit surprised that we're seeing that he also has block at level 1 if you don't want to go into that trait. A bit surprised in the ETC, but ETC does give you that lockdown. If you can get the power slide onto the Illidan, albeit you can expect the Sanctification to be there. If you get the power slide onto one of those targets, Sonya has a much easier target for the spear. Try and get some of that good burst damage in. Try and deal with potentially the solo warrior or that Illidan diving in.
Exactly, and here we go. This is game number 1 between Deadlykittens versus Playstomp. On the blue side, we got Deadlykittens, NSJ on the Lunara, Jinwoo on the Rhaegar is stronger. They're spinning around here on the ETC, Enivir on the Sonya, and Confidence on the Tassadar.
And on the other side, in red, will be Playstomp with Hiskoa on Illidan, Lauda on Tyrael, Perez on Brightwing, Uther being played by TNK, and Xscarik on the Vala, as we have a quick pause to start the game again. The tactical pause.
Tactical pause. I mean, looking at the composition of Playstomp, there is a lot of safety. There's balance. They've got the right CCs. They've got a good amount of damage, got a good global map control, a lot to work around with. Their composition is definitely not linear. They can pressure the map all around and force Deadlykittens to just respond to this, and that is why I understand what you just said, that they're going to be forced to take the stage dive instead just to get that response into this kind of composition. So I'm a little bit worried for DK's draft and how they're going to work around it. Early game, who do you think has the upper hand?
Early game, it kind of depends on how you approach this. I think the Brightwing is kind of the big X factor here. We're seeing Perez play that. We've seen him play a wide variety of roles. But again, it all comes down to getting Sonya to feel comfortable in the lane. Let Sonya push out. If you're an Illidan player, maybe it's a matter of don't be overly aggressive. Let the minions push a little bit before you choose to respond. Kind of get past that halfway mark. Use the phase shift from Brightwing, especially depending on what she picks at level 1. Maybe get that cooldown reduction, and then go down and support the lower lanes. Because Vala should be able to maintain in terms of the wave clear. You've got Tyrael down there that could be able to help as well. And kind of play around that. On the other side of the coin, you've got Tassadar that kind of can play the same role. He can sit in the middle lane, get that wave clear, and then help in the top lane. Try and put the pressure onto Illidan. Evasion works great against auto-attack heroes, but you can put the Psystorm down. If you can get the Slam going in, potentially land one of the Spears early game, get control of that lane. So it's going to be a matter of kind of the secondary supports between Brightwing and Tassadar that can really turn around the early part of this game.
We'll see if they're going to be executing that mentioned strategy as we head on back to our game here. Deadlykittens going with the aggressive pushback towards Playstomp.
The aggressive one, and right now Playstomp not willing to commit to the early game, and I think that that's something that you recognize the ETC power slide. You don't want to deal with potential blow up, so play it safe, disperse the lanes, and go about your business.
Yes, sirree. As we see the rotation already, they're going to their lanes here as Jinwoo will settle here at the bot side of the map. Tassadar and then Lunara there in the mid side. Malthael, actually Vala and Uther are going to buddy right up at the top lane.
You know, I talked about the traditional setup here, but we do see the completely different approach as Confidence eating a lot of damage on Tassadar, forced a dimensional shift out. He is taking all kinds of damage. Xscarik, we're going to see if NSJ can come over. He gets the poison. Does TNK have a heal? He does. As Lauda trying to run away from NSJ and company. Eldruins might out. Jinwoo, Inavir.
Uh-oh, just in the nick of time. Lauda and Iskoa manages to exit safely. But wow, nicely done heal coming from Uther earlier. I really thought the DOT damage was going to finish. We're going to get first blood, but good thing TNK got it just right in time. But Shrines already right up and running.
I like how Playstomp just comes out, dictates the pace and the positioning already, because Playstomp just comes out and they're like, we're going to put Uther Vala top lane, not even bother with the Illidan solo top lane, and just change up the dynamic of how this game is played, which is a bit surprising. And there's a reason why the bottom lane is normally the 4-man or that 3-man to try and get the advantage there. It's because there are 3 camps that could potentially be pushing bottom, and getting control of that, opening that up, gives you lane control, and there's a lot of long-term effects to that as Inavir takes a lot of damage. There's what I was talking about, though, the polymorph, the minute Whirlwind comes out. Good way to deal with that, Sonya.
Exactly. Playstomp has an answer for the Sonya as she gets polymorphed. Iskoa is going to be dashing in, dashing out. They do have control over the shrines. And we'll see ETC right in the middle. And the channel is not going to happen as Deadlykittens is just distracting them. Inavir, very low. Iskoa and Inavir onto the duel. Meanwhile, Jinwoo, one more auto attack left with that clutch. And Iskoa is all alone. No more Perez. And that is first blood.
First blood there, and very well played. I love that Jinwoo was being aggressive, taking advantage of that feral lunge built into your mount there. Just one bite away onto Perez, and now we see Lauda, the power slide over, going to buy time as the face melt knocks back Tyrael. Buys time for Confidence to grab that DK to fit with, I guess, DK to push this middle lane.
This is exactly the typical Dragonshire Deadlykittens strategy, where early game, they really shine. They just want to keep forcing, pressuring their enemy team back to base, or maybe get a pick-off so that they lead it to objectives and eventually lead it onto levels and more map control, as Iskoa will try to chunk down Confidence, but you're just like, get out of here.
It's an interesting approach, and it's always one that's debatable. Sometimes when you get to the later game going for mid-keep, I ask pro players, I say, why do you go mid lane? They said it's the faster win condition. But then, but that's normally for the keep, and I talked about getting those as confidence. He's going to shift out, but I don't know if he's got any type of heal or support here.
Oh.
Okay, Brightwing comes in. But again, opening up top and bottom lanes are always very important because of late game camps. As Innovator is going to go on the slide in by Stronger. Here comes the cavalry.
Oh wow, Hiskoa super low. That's 2 members down from Playstomp. Lauda is the only one left, with Tassadar being the sacrificial lamb here. As 3-for-1 exchange, it's not over. They want this, but he is back to base. It is now safe.
Oh, 3 members down. If I'm Deadlykittens, I just take that entire gate. Instead, they're willing to play around the camps. But that is free XP and free structure damage. You take the wall and then you fall back for the camps. And Deadlykittens willing to play the safer route as they recognize the global potential of Brightwing. But getting the camp, we'll see what they try and do elsewhere on the map. As we can see on the mini-map, Sonya grabbing the night camp on the left, and on the right, Playstomp and team getting their night camp here on the right side.
Nicely placed vision as well. Wisp already eye on the prize there, looking for someone to rotate at that camp just to respond to this bottom lane pressure, as Deadlykittens are just continuing with the charge. Lauda looking, just trying to zone them away here with Xgarrick.
I mean, this is, you could have probably just grabbed this wall and then gone and grabbed the camp, but instead they will inevitably get this as Lauda diving in, trying to put a little bit of pressure onto that back line. That smite damage, definitely favorable. Gate down, 1 tower still standing.
1 tower is still standing. No ammo. Lauda with Elrin's might. NSJ super low. Will be able to make it as everybody has totem being placed down for the slow. TNK very healthy. Lauda no mana, but looks like no one will fall just yet.
Lauda no mana. Tyrael said every Tyrael player ever. Those mana cost always high. Stronger continue to zone out TNK there. Eats the last few shots as the ammo replenishes onto that tower. But here we have it, level 10, picked up by Deadlykittens, and another Dragon Knight in their favor.
Definitely. Enavir taking that DK for himself, again pushing towards finishing what the first DK did not finish. Managed to destroy that structure, and meanwhile it's Enavir going to be pressuring and continuing on with the charge, as Illidan still being busy at the top side of the map. Again, level 10, 11 rather, for Deadlykittens, still waiting for Playstomp on their level 10.
He's busy, but he's got company in the form of the Dragon Knight. Don't let it fool you. That Dragon Knight has been buffed since the Stukov patch. And Innovator walks in, gives him the boot, and sends him packing.
Uh-oh, looks like they want for more. Still not level 10 on the side of Playstomp. Confidence just baiting it out. With Enavir still by your side, Perez, healer, alongside with Lauda. They just want to keep this in. Level 10 already. Emerald Wind being used, thrown out, but the strength is just too much here for their side. They're buying some time at the top side of the map.
All right, we have 2 heroics used there. The Emerald Wind one made sense. That Sanctification was about 2 to 3 seconds too late, but the hunt in return. Jinwoo in all kinds of trouble. We do see Strafe. I'm surprised. But the mosh pit on the backside. NSJ trying to put out the damage. Divine Shield has been used. Ancestral out before Jinwoo falls down. Appropriately used there. Nobody falling yet on the side of Playstop. And now his Skoa team continue to put the pressure on as they look for more.
Wow, look at those stutter steps. NSJ doing it. DOT damage onto his Skoa. Will he survive? No. Stronger, very low. Lauda getting chased by Stronger instead. But Enavir is here with his spinning blades. Perez very low. But look at that. Another fight is going on. Nice face melt just to zone away Lauda. But confidence is there for the shield. Lauda is in no man's land, and he is going to fall.
NSJ, I think, might fall. But the extra movement speed from those Dryad legs, getting him out of danger there. Nicely done. That could have gone so much worse, I think, for either team. The clutch Divine Shield out of that mosh pit, and then Hiskoa going to town, not able to get much more, but credit Stronger for that amazing ETC play to land the mosh and then to keep Lunara alive. Just so much going on there.
Beautiful mosh pit, plus Jinwoo's Rehgar stayed alive. in time for the ancestral healing to kick in for the Lunara to keep going. And then when he died, I was like, it's okay to die. You did your job already. So anyway, for Deadlykittens, well played. 14-11 already in the scoreboard. We might see another fight.
Might see another fight. Stronger in team. They don't have Mosh Pit yet. Good cleanse on NSJ, but the Sanctification already used. Emerald win for the disengage and isolating Inabir, who's somehow still alive. Ancestral not on time, and Strafe also putting the pressure on. Hiskoa, however, is going to go down, and Stronger just a few seconds away from that mosh pit. They're staying in this fight. Lauda somehow alive for the moment, but he is going to go down, trying to put the pressure in. NSJ one more time walks away.
2 members down in exchange for 1. They're still continuing on with the chase. Power slide in. Still no face melt. They're aiming for Xcarrick, but looks like they're going to be safe for now. But look at the pressure all over the map. Structure damage already been done on Playstomp's base. And again, DK control for Deadlykittens.
Not too shabby, especially when we look at that bottom lane completely exposed. I'd be surprised if they go mid lane this time. Getting a keep in the bottom or top lane.
All right.
They're
probably waiting for someone. Oh my. All right.
I don't know if that's a bait or what, but they don't get the Dragon Knight. Instead, TNK comes in with the interrupt. Look for Illidan to potentially hunt in the disengage. Again, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, Riku, on why you would delay that.
Me too. It was just standing there in front of the DK. It was right there. They probably use it as bait, perhaps. I'm not sure. Force a fight Playstomp is not prepared for. But again, they're going to be doing this again. They've zoned Playstomp away, and it's going to be Tacitar. Confidence is going to be getting it.
Right. Feel better now. They should be able to get 16 out of this. They have the mosh pit available. If you can get the damage out. Again, confidence in team. They're going to get this. This might be grab it for 16 and then go bottom. But they might just be looking to end. Yeah, they're going to they get 16 off mid, but they're going to open up. Again, bottom lane holds so much value. Unless you're looking to end the game, I'm not 100% sure why you prioritize mid, unless you're just trying to make a play for double keep, which post Stukov Dragon Knight is possible, but Hiskoa already in on that backside with the hunt.
Emerald Wind already being used. Xcarrick! Very low, forced to back away, gets finished off. And will you look at that mosh pit? He's just guitaring away with 3 members down. Perez is going to back off with 5 members super healthy. DK, half HP, and that is GG.
Well, I said if you're looking to end the game, you go middle, I think. Playstomp's like, look, we're going to challenge this. And the minute they challenged it, Deadlykittens hit the turbo. It just like raced to victory as several members just were deleted instantly. Jinwoo with that clutch ancestral on Sonya, and the minute that goes out, there's nothing else you can do. Just excellently played by Deadlykittens there.
Definitely. They're very comfy with that map. The draft that they executed was one of their comfort strategies of being just aggressive during the early phases of the game. Try to snowball it out, zone them away, keep pressuring them around the map, and that's why Playstomp struggled so much. Despite the really good plays from the Illidan, like immense damage, he wasn't able to finish off the targets. Props to Jinwoo for those clutch heals, for his repositioning style. So again, really convincing.
The play by Stronger on ETC. I thought there might have been a better pick with the Muradin. However, he made the ETC look pretty good. The mosh pits, the 2 mosh pits. The second one was a little bit easier. The first one was really good. You know, it created kind of like this cascade of events that they almost got the pick. If they get the first pick, then, you know, who knows what that bottom fight ends up like. And then, you know, the assault there, Illidan continuing to go in, Tyrael trying to get that kill. We saw the double face melt at level 13. The minute 13 was picked up in the middle of that. It kind of helped zone out Tyrael.
Yes.
Not able to get that kill. Bumped him away the second time. You know, there's a lot that went on in that fight. I love the back and forth action there. Playstop, they decided they'd come in. They didn't want to go with the traditional 4-1 with their double support. The 1-1-3, they ended up going Uther, Vala top lane, and they just tried to force a lot out of it. Deadlykittens was forced to respond, and I think that they adapted very quickly, very well, and they played it. They played it really well outside of the one delayed channel, which I'm going to have to message somebody after, like, what was the thinking? Like, why did you not channel instantly
Yeah.
and just walk and like take a keep? Instead, just kind of maybe he thought he clicked on it, clicked
He
on
just
his mini
stared
map
at
somewhere
the-
else because he just kind of hung out.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they played it really well. Moved Sonya back at the bot lane instead. What I really like about the encounter there with the mosh pit, it just gave the Lunara a choice on who to attack first. Should I attack the Illidan who's bothering Jinwoo, or should I just land these auto attacks onto the people that got that were dancing? So I saw the mindset there. Okay, I'm gonna land these autos, not put the mosh pit to waste. And there, his Skoa was choosing between Jinwoo or the Lunara, the damage dealer. But because of that hesitation, the ancestral healing managed to come in right in time for Lunara to deal more and do more, and that's how they won the team fight.
Jinwoo, he played Rhaegar yesterday. I was a little bit critical at the end of the day yesterday on that Tune the Spider Queen game, but he makes up for it today with some clutch plays there. I think Deadlykittens, you can look at everybody on that team and said they made a lot of good plays. NSJ obviously being that big time carry for their team. NSJ, if you go back to midseason brawl, he was the he was the all-star for that team, got to play on the big stage during the all-star match, things like that. Definitely really shines on this team again as a cohesive unit. That we have 2 new members.
Yes.
The Koreans have come in, replaced Mur and Zays. They've come in. They seem to be rounding into form. Obviously, they're still here in the lower bracket finals, trying to move on. They make a pretty good statement in Game 1 of this best-of-3 series.
Yeah, speaking of games, game number 2 is going to be heading over to Infernal Shrines in a short while. But now we're heading into Infernal Shrines. Who do you think, or what do you think is going to be the contested pick? As it seems that Infernal Shrines, it seems that it's a favorite for both of these teams.
It's a favorite for both teams, and I really like the Tyrael pickup. There were 2 sanctifications, maybe a third one. It seemed they were a little bit off base. The one up with Brightwing just seemed kind of like a reactionary thing. The one in the middle, he thought he had the dive composition. The one near the mid-fort wall on the side of Deadlykittens didn't have that committal, didn't have the Greymane there with him. So there might have just been some communication issues. I don't think it's the best we've seen from Playstomp. We saw, pretty much their best last
True.
game. We saw some good games from them yesterday. I think that if you want to go into the Tyrael, that's fine. They had a good composition, I think, this time around. Again, they tried to mix it up. They put in the Uther Vala top lane, tried to just kind of disrupt, create things differently from the norm.
Yes.
We adapted in terms of trying to break it down. Deadlykittens adapted in trying to break it down within the game, and they did well. So things like the Greymane Tyrael, I'd like to see again, maybe with the Uther, maybe just played a little bit differently.
Yeah, I really expect from the draft, especially coming from Deadlykittens, is how you're going to counter or how you're going to move around during the early phases of the game. It seems that it is the kind of playstyle that has been working out for them for these past few series, but meanwhile, if you're going to be up against a very aggressive composition, Playstomp already played it safe. They already had a lot of safe options. They had Sanctification, they've got Emerald Wind, they've got the Divine Shield. So what other types of compositions can you deal with early game aggression?
I said Greymane, I meant Illidan, and I'm thinking that in my mind, like going forward into the second game, is that I felt the Greymane could have been the first rotation before the second ban as opposed to afterwards. So I meant Illidan going, and I think that's something that would play to their strength after what we saw in the previous series. I've seen so much Greymane, it just seems like Greymane's on the tip of my tongue. But again, I think that's something that plays to the strengths of Playstomp. We saw that in the previous series on Infernal Shrines. We saw it in many games throughout the day. Playing with that Tyrael, it's something you would expect to kind of dive in there. So I think if they can play to that, Deadlykittens has, again, we didn't see the Dahaka. We didn't see the priority towards that. But I think bigger Battleground, maybe play a little bit more macro-focused. It seems Deadlykittens is evolving, I think, in terms of how they want to play, because they tried to, and when I talked to them at Eastern Clash number 2, they said that they had adapted. I was talking to their coach at the time, Young Bake. He said that they had adapted their strategies to play more of a macro focus. They wanted to be better at controlling the battleground as opposed to just being good at fights. And that's kind of something I think they're falling back more towards their old ways of fighting. It seems to be working here in Game 1 as we get ready to head to game number 2 here on Infernal Shrines.
I'm super duper excited. Will this end with a 2-0 with an ending of Deadlykittens versus Resurgence, a classic rivalry here for SEA, or will we see something new this time around? Is it going to be a game number 3 with Playstomp taking up against Resurgence? But for now, we're going to watch this series. Genji, Tassadar, Oriel, definitely something that they've been prioritizing for the past few series.
The Genji ban, if it's not NSJ, I'm actually not a huge fan of Genji on Infernal Shrines. He doesn't really do a lot for the clear in terms of the shrine. He does a lot in team fighting, obviously. First ban potential, that's fine. You know, we're going to see the Ariel banned here. I'd be really surprised. Outside of maybe a Stitches, I feel like this has to be a Tassadar.
Yes,
Insta-lock.
Insta.
There's no way around it. Storm onto this contributes so much to the shrine itself and fits into so many compositions.
Definitely. Confidence played that really well at the previous match, and now we're going to be seeing that on Playstomp side, denying, but Greymane takeaway Tyrael as well.
There's the Tyrael Greymane I was talking about, and this time it's on the side of Deadlykittens, and NSJ Greymane is a terrifying prospect, and when he has the support of a Tyrael, it's going to look really, really good. Now, Playstomp, you got to wonder here, either they pick up the Uther or they potentially pick up the Lunara. Deadlykittens doesn't run a lot of double support outside of maybe with the Tassadar. And I think that if you give up the Uther over to a Tyrael Greymane, that's scary unless you pick a Lunara. And then Deadlykittens, of course, if you don't pick up the Lunara here, Deadlykittens would have the opportunity to ban that out.
Well, they're taking their sweet time. And Playstomp already played an effective Lunara back then, so I don't see why not. They have, it fits very well. We saw that it worked out on Deadlykitten's side from the earlier match. But again, Greymane Tyrael, definitely something very scary for the side of DK. What do they do in response to this? Uther, you are correct. Lastly, we're going to get an Arthas instead. Not
like
revealing too much.
I love the Arthas pickup. We haven't seen enough Arthas in my mind. And he does well to deal with any dive compositions because he has that slow available to him. Good crowd control in there. He also contributes to the clear on the shrine, same way Tassadar does, has good AoE ability. Doesn't necessarily lock them down instantly, but you can play into that and have somebody come in, get that burst afterwards, but it also takes the Uther away from the Greymane. So I like a lot of what we're seeing from Playstomp's draft here to try and counter Deadlykittens.
Exactly. Once Deadlykittens, they really like these aggressive plays. Starting a fight, Playstomp is not going to be prepared for, but with the CCs that they do have the kit to actually try and punish that for now, but still no damage dealers for Playstomp as they are starting to choke it out a little bit on the second rotation, taking Lunara away. Vala is still open for the taking if they do want that range damage dealer, but we'll see what Playstomp is going to ban.
The Lunara ban, I love. Unfair advantage, getting the extra damage towards slowed enemies. Arthas has an amazing AoE slow. And we've seen so much Lunara be dominant against these teams that I really like the Lunara ban.
Agreed, Malthael. Now looking at the dynamics, if Confidence doesn't play Tassadar, he plays a mage. So what mage could he get? I mean, I'm just assuming, because that's the trend. That's the trend.
That's the thing is, like, right now you don't have to pick it. I'd be okay if they actually hold that. If they do want to go mage style, then hold it, whether it's Gul'dan or Kael'thas. See if they go another melee. Again, Arthas doesn't have the dive. He can root you if he lands that, builds that up, especially once he finishes all 20 from level 1. But if you don't have that heavy dive, then Kael'thas Gul'dan are very appealing, does really well against Arthas, and contributes to the clear, and without trying to make sure and sacrifice too much to the all-in, plus you have that fallback defense. So if you're going to go that route, maybe it's safe since you have the last pick. Let the other teams see what they go with, because there are a lot of options, even the Chromie. Because, again, no mobility on the side of Arthas, puts some slowing sands down post-level 8. And it's really good control on there. So there's a lot that Deadlykittens can lean back on. And they go double support, holding that last damage dealer pick.
Nicely done by Deadlykittens, playing the mind games here. Now Playstomp has to play this well with their drafting, as they've got 2 damage dealers to actually lock in, unless... are they going to? No, they already have 2 supports. My bad. So
and I think the way that looks is that Rhaegar and Brightwing are good counters towards Illidan. Arthas, Uther, Tassadar are good Illidan pairings to go in to dive in. You have that person to dive in, get the attack speed slows, things like that. Slow them down, just chase them down. So I actually like the double support pickup to deny that potentially coming in. And again, holding that damage dealer for their last pick.
Vala is still open for the taking, which is their comfort pick, if ever. Looking back, they also play Malthael, but that's banned. They banned that one. Li Ming is also their choice from before, so I'm not quite sure. Dehaka instead, and Acacia!
I was about to say that there's a possibility that we might see Dehaka go over to Deadlykittens, but Playstomp's taken control of that first. Now, with that being said, does that make you want... I mean, you've got the global of Brightwing, but would your damage dealer maybe look like a false stat? Maybe have that frontline control, deal with that. But again, Arthas has that built-in physical armor. Unless you're going another frontliner here, a Gul'dan would be very appealing right now.
Exactly. Cassia has the blind. A mage would be nice for Deadlykittens. What is it going to be? You said Gul'dan. They did play Kael'thas. They did play Chromie. I liked Confidence's Chromie's performance. So we'll have to see how it's going to pan out. And they decide to go for a Leoric. Interesting.
You know, when we saw the changes, when we saw Arthas get buffed earlier this year, and we saw a lot of the changes, a lot of people fell back to Leoric, recognizing that Arthas lacks the mobility. You get more value out of that drain coming from Leoric. Then we saw Leoric more adaptive. You know, when we look at Europe, we look at Wubby on Fnatic and what they've been able to do with it, kind of innovating into the Royal Focus. You know, it's been around. It's kind of been tampered with a little bit, but you know, Wubby's one of those people. You use the Royal Focus. We actually saw it in a series earlier. You try and get that double lane soak. Go into that and Lingering Apparition at 7. Get the double lane soak. You have that good Entomb control, and you look on the other side. Uther, Arthas, Dehaka, Cassia. They don't have the leap style to get out. You can get trapped in the Entomb, which we saw from Perez earlier. Works really well when you talk about choke points on Infernal Shrines. And so Leoric, obviously, I think is a really good pickup for that front line. Gives you kind of that frontline control to dive in, get the Entomb, try and get in there with Greymane, get in there with Tyrael Sanctification. And you have a really good composition that has great wave clear, has good survivability, and can really deal with a lot of what we're seeing on the side of Playstomp.
Definitely. Deadlykittens' composition is very balanced, and the lack of mobility from the side of Playstomp is definitely something Deadlykittens can take advantage of as we head on over to game number 2. Is this a 2-0, or are we going to be seeing a game number 3?
We're going to find out as we hit game 2, as Deadlykittens is up 1-0 at the moment. On the left side will be Deadlykittens, as Stronger is going to be on Tyrael, NSJ, of course, on the Greymane, Inavir on Leoric, Confidence on Brightwing, and Jin Woo once again on the Rhaegar.
Meanwhile, on Playstomp, we got a Hiskoa on the Tassadar, Excaric on the Cassia, Perez on the Dehaka, and TNK on towards the Uther.
Dehaka just instantly using that brush stalker, going out there scouting it out. But hey, Stronger's like, look, you can stand there. I'm just going to throw my sword out and see if you're there.
Oh, man. There we go with the early rotations coming from the Dehaka, with Inavir on the Leoric just standing right there.
How about this? We're going to see him block from Leoric. That does well against Cassia, but it does not do well against Tassadar. So we'll see how much those block charges come into play. Tassadar has one of the highest attack speeds in the game. So getting value out of that, going to be a little difficult.
Confidence here in the bot side of the map with 4 people already here from Playstomp. And Dehaka and Leoric match up at the top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matchup that Dehaka should win, especially early, and it's a really good matchup in general. You know, I talked about getting level 4, getting level 7. That's where, you know, by the time you get to that second shrine phase where you'll see more value out of Leoric when it comes to soaking, because Dehaka can just stay in lane all day, brush stalker in as needed. Leoric normally doesn't win that matchup because the minute you press W, you land it onto the Dehaka. Dehaka presses E, hides underground. It's like, that's cute.
Exactly. A lot of the Howling Blast will not connect. Confidence will still be okay as Playstomp does the early rotations instead, finding the pick, finding their correct target as Inavir is very low, trying to bait out Perez into the open, finding Jinwoo and NSJ nearby.
It find them nearby, and the instant response here by Xkaric and team, this is something you can do. The minute one team overcommits, you just, instead of going up to defend, which is what a lot of people like to do, they like to go up and defend and save that. Instead, you just kind of turn whatever lane you're in, you do the exact same and you trade. Even if it's a losing trade, it's still better than escaping and trying to get up there, because by the time you get up there, the enemy team's gone. Slight advantage in favor of Deadlykittens, in level 4 picked up just a tad early, but Tassadar already getting started on the shrines.
Exactly. Deadlykittens finding the right opportunity here as Playstomp already in position. Everybody else is joining. Dehaka still on top. Lora in the middle of it all. Has the shield from the Tassadar. Confidence by the side. Enavir is just going to apparition away with the first blood going to the Arthas. Very squishy. Enavir super low, is going to walk casually away. He's going to drain some life out of the people. There's the blind coming right in. The heals are just too immense from Deadlykittens, and they're just walking away. Here comes the drag. In response to this, Rhaegar will fall down, and looks like it's going to be a 2-for-1 exchange.
And I'm a bit surprised in how that turned out. It seemed like Jinwoo was really trying to protect his team going down there, but that was Leoric. Sometimes there's heroes that you can just kind of let die. Leoric is one of those heroes, probably one of the only heroes. But instead, they're going to fall back. And I talked about Leoric going into the Royal Focus build. That's exactly what they're doing. They're willing to concede the first shrine as they are too far behind, so might as well soak in the meantime and try and make up the experience elsewhere.
Exactly. One thing that Deadlykittens is very apparent in terms of strategy, they soak first. It's okay to give up objectives around the map. Once they reach level 10, they don't hesitate to actually start the fight. But look at that. Playstomp gaining the advantage of that first Punisher of the game, with Enavir just lurking around the corner in the bottom side.
Enavir is just kind of traipsing about there on Leoric. It's like Leoric's coming back from the dead, still haunting everybody. Brightwing, of course, we see on the minimap, going up against the Dehaka.
Yeah.
Enavir getting value out of the Royal Focus there. Clear.
Exactly. Hunting with the surfboard as they're going to be clearing some camps over here. Both of them are going to be doing the same thing. Quite even in experience, with Playstomp having that slight lead. But for now, we'll see what kind of rotations does Deadlykittens, because Playstomp has been making the plays for now in terms of aggressive rotations, because they can afford to do so. A lot of CCs in their hands. And meanwhile, for Deadlykittens, they don't have the kit just yet.
They don't, but experience pretty much even. The Punisher in the bottom got about as much as that early push from Greymane and company. As we take a look at the questing talents, Arthas, of course, going to be one of the bigger ones there. Wave of Light was the pickup from Uther. Seen a drop-off in that talent pickup since the nerfs to that, since we are, again, on the live patch, as well as the auto-attack nerf to Tassadar, but that does not deter him from going into that at level 1.
Definitely, with Deadlykittens just making the macro plays, just rotating and gaining some experience, as Playstomp will do the same thing. They're still waiting for the objective before actually going aggressive, as this is, again, do or die. Whoever wins will move on to fight Resurgence. Whoever loses is go bye-bye and see you in 2018.
2018 indeed. Sometimes when you're in SEA, you see things you've never seen before. I can tell you that much.
Which one?
All the things, as we see Deadlykittens with a slight experience advantage. Enavir looking to find somebody, trying to get some value out of that.
And again, with this said, Dehaka is just going to be moving down, which is understandable, but that's the shrine right in. Playstomp waiting for the perfect timing. This is crucial. They're about to reach level 10. Dehaka can just keep soaking. Brightwing is going to do the same thing. They're about to reach level 10, both of these teams. Dehaka, on the other hand, decides to do the same as Brightwing does. Stun lands onto Enavir. He's going to be fine, but they're going to be zoning away, Deadlykittens, away from the shrine.
That fend value hit multiple members, and you talked about it, level 10. So dangerously close here for both teams, and the key thing is going to be Enavir. Watch for him to snap lock in this Entomb. See if he can get value out of it. He's getting the slow. Hard target to get there. That's a zoning Entomb. Instead, they've got the body blocks currently onto Lauda's. Brightwing's coming in, trying to separate them with the Emerald Wind. Lauda in all kinds of trouble, as Arthas going to be the first one to go down this fight. Xkaric gets the Divine Shield onto him to survive. but that is a win for Deadlykittens.
Nicely done. Emerald win as well. 1 man down means a time frame for Deadlykittens to actually create and get that Punisher. And for now, that is going to be Dehaka going to be soaking those experience right up. And looks like Cassia is still holding onto Valkyrie or Ball of Lightning.
Now, Ball Lightning seems like the normal pickup. I think Sanctification kind of makes you rethink that, but I think that still, when you get the enemy team to clump up, you can get good value out of that Ball of Lightning. Valkyrie, hard targets the grab there. And of course, you got the Sanctification, even if somebody does get grabbed, so instantly there. And the Fend, again, stronger in all kinds of trouble as we see the Ancestral is going to land. And now we're looking for the rest of the team. It's Perez trying to get in, but the Entomb on the backside is actually going to keep them from going in. Emerald win with the disengage, and Inabir surviving on the middle.
Again, Punisher is still alive. There's the stun onto NSJ. He's going to be Howling Blasted. Gets the root in, but they're going to be doing a cleanup. 2 members down. Excarric falls. Lauda is just running for his life. TNK as well. A lot of members are falling down, and look at that. Uther is all alone at this point, and that is a 5-man team wipe.
Off the top rope. Shout out to my man Halorn as the Punisher came in and helped to clean house there. And Deadlykittens taking a firm grasp on this game. They're about to be level 13. We've got 7 kills to 2. Deadlykittens with this composition, Riku, they look like they know what they're doing. And that Entomb from Leoric, the back door Entomb. I mean, how's it feel to have your own back door closed before you can even get out?
Exactly. Well played. None of the members were able to actually respond for Arthas there from Playstomp, so that was well played. They actually prioritized targets very well coming from Deadlykittens. They moved to the next target, and then it is just so clean whenever these team fights happen. Meanwhile, again, Deadlykittens with the control, stronger, very, very brave. Entombed happens. Lauda is not going to be with his teammates. There comes the stasis. Confidence uses the Emerald win. The Ball of Lightning bounces towards the rest of the members, but he's going to be fine. That's the Cassia falling down first. Hiskoa on the side, just landing in the slows just for the disengage.
I'll tell you what, it is a masterful performance when you get to see NSJ on heroes like Genji on Greymane. You were calling the fight. I'm sitting over here as a fan watching NSJ wreak havoc on Greymane. Some of the best in the world, I would say, on Greymane there. Just, it's a pleasure to watch NSJ. Deadlykittens operating right now at maximum efficiency as they got another pick there. And the next Shrine phase is here. Good thing is, though, Riku, Playstomp close to 13. They'll be able to contest this.
I agree here. With a few seconds left for the Shrine as it's going to be activating soon. We saw Dehaka soaking up experience at the bot side of the map. It's just a matter of these heroics coming back online. Ball Lightning already going to be there soon. But in terms of Greymane's heroic, it's still not going to be there, but Deadlykittens already ready.
I want to talk about something that happened there at the bottom, is that they were clearing the bottom minion wave, which if you see that right now, if we just pan down to that bottom minion wave, they did not kill it. They did not kill it. They denied the XP from moving further up the lane to create this opportunity here. Perez was forced to step out. Unfortunately, they're not able to get the pick, but they did deny the experience. They're staying on top of him. Perez, he used his essence. He used it. They baited this out. This was 100% calculated. They may have overcommitted as the Sanctification goes down. Emerald win in return. But that was a phenomenal play by Deadlykittens. I cannot understate or overstate how amazing that play was to not kill that minion wave, to create that opportunity right there. I am so glad they were able to capitalize on that. Beyond impressed with Deadlykittens on that call.
Awesome macro play from Deadlykittens as they made a pickoff on towards Playstomp. Once again, they have control, getting the second Punisher for themselves. Third Punisher, rather. And again, 15 to 13 on towards their levels, gaining a lot of map control, level control, and the synergy once again. Playstomp forced to back away as TNK is about to die. There is the safety of the Divine Shield, but is that enough? 3-man root from the Howling Blast. Excarric will fall, 2 members down, and that is another Entombed being activated. Lauda always on the Entombed. Deadlykittens just really doing it.
Nowhere to go, no place to hide as Deadlykittens gets 4 more kills in the Ghanaian cocktail. Almost gets a 5th there as Hiskoa lucky to be alive. Inabir using the Wraith, or the lingering apparition, the Wraith Walk. You can see he got that extra range. not willing to commit. He wasn't sure if that was there, and then LCB stuck there. I think I would have loved to see him risk it, though, Riku.
Actually, I thought he was just going to aim for the kill, but looks like, again, his skull is going to get stunned. Shift away to safety. It's going to be fine. But 17 to 14 on their levels. Deadlykittens is going to be playing this by the book and just back away and respect that.
All I got to say is go back to the moment where, when is it best not to kill a minion wave? But it's experience. I need the that is the 100% best time. I hate to go back to it already, but I absolutely love that play from Deadlykittens that went from a could-be contested shrine to a we're going to bait this out, get the kill, take the shrine. Not only that, but we're going to use that to get the keep, stretch our experience lead. They've got a 3-level lead, 12 kill to 2 advantage, and are in complete control of this game.
Definitely. Deadlykittens calculated right there. Playstomp definitely still in the game, but they're going to have a difficult time as more map control coming from Deadlykittens. A lot of calculated macro plays as well. But this time around, it's just that they cannot find the right fights for themselves. They always get countered. Deadlykittens always gets the first move.
They do. And Playstomp, their opportunities.
Oh. Uh-oh, Perez, you got
has
spotted.
Nowhere to go.
Oh, he's okay. He's
Yeah,
fine.
he's got that extra movement speed. Went into the enhanced agility. Inavir's like, look, I can walk pretty fast when I'm a ghost, but not gonna make it there. And this is a moment right here. You've got to try and take this fort down to get 16. The problem is you're gonna see an instant response to a keep wall. So you're gonna get that experience, but you've got to give something to get a little. And right now they're gonna give up a keep wall. And the thing about this, Riku, is the next shrine could be top lane. And if it goes over to Deadlykittens, could be pretty detrimental to their short-term future.
I agree with you there, Jayhow, as the Brightwing will be forced to use the Emerald Wind. So just in case they have another fight, that heroic will not be available. There's a drag on towards the Tyrael, but he'll just Eldrin's and White away. There comes the blind coming from the Cassia. Everything's going to be A-okay as they try to disengage instead. Entombed, just so that to buy some time, but TNK leading the charge, going to meet up with Perez.
Perez coming in there on the Dahaka. He's got the vulnerability. We see the cleanse on the Inavir. That is a Leoric kill. That is a kill that they desperately needed. They gave up the keep, though, in the meantime, overcommitted to the bottom lane, not able to force a defense. However, that does buy them time, Riku. They should be able to get this, but that is Leoric, and he will be back on the battleground quicker than almost anybody that you could find.
I agree. Stronger, just going to keep distracting the Dahaka.
He's trying to get 20. He's like, I can't lose this wave to the towers.
It's okay to give away a couple, the Punisher, but NSJ is already working on it. Confidence leading the charge on the minions will actually go and join the fight here with Lauda behind. Howling Blast over there on towards the members, connects on towards the Tyrael, but they want to run away. Entombed again onto TNK. Enavir just zoning them away. Blind on towards NSJ, but that will do you no good as Cassia is eliminated from the fight. Arthas will follow, and then here's Tassadar. Will try to dimensional shift and buy some time, but again, it is 3 members down, and TNK is still working on it on the Punisher.
Oh, he desperately wanted to get the Punisher. He fell 1 short. If you get that Punisher, you might buy yourself enough time, but instead there are catapults quickly approaching the core. I'm actually surprised Deadlykittens isn't just walking to the core, but short death timers, catapults are going to be there. Punisher's going to be picked up. There's nowhere to bait that over. This is basically checkmate for Deadlykittens as they will be marching down the middle lane with an Arcane Punisher, level 20, and the core shields already down.
They played safe, they played by the book, they fought the fights that were needed, and they're very sure. They calculated macro plays, intense micro plays indeed, as Lauda is trapped again in the Entombed of Enavir. But meanwhile, we see Perez on stasis. Excarrick will fall. A lot of members falling down. And Emerald Win, here we go. 1 member down only from Deadlykittens. They're pretty healthy at this point. They're zoning them away. NSJ is just satisfied with this position for now. But will you look at that? 2-0 against Playstomp. We are going to see a classic, Jayhow.
Lauda is going to have nightmares tonight as he spent a lot of time in that Entomb this game. I want to talk about the coordination and communication of Deadlykittens because the call there NSJ, I got to hear their comms, though, screaming to dive in. Tyrion's like, I'm right there with you. That's communication between Stronger, NSJ, and Inavir. They've been playing together so long. The three Filipinos, they make the call. And when it's Stronger going in, using the Eldruins, using the Sanctification, they instantly collapsed onto the Cassia. NSJ goes in on the Grey Main. They get the early kill onto the main damage dealer on that side, and then continue to clean up after that. The communication on the side of Deadlykittens looks far better today than it did yesterday, and they just dominated this series against Playstomp, who was a very competitive team over these last 2 days. And they beat Detergents, who I thought would be the team here in the lower bracket finals.
Yes.
And they played very well. And they came in here and they went up against the team that seemed to be revved up and ready to go to prove a point in Deadlykittens. But big props to Playstomp. As far as they got in the manner in which they got here, I was really impressed. Yesterday they impressed, fell to lower bracket, made it all the way to lower bracket finals. Big shout out to them finishing third place in this tournament.
Indeed. Going back to Deadlykittens, if whatever that was bothering them in terms of communication, decision making, it seems that they've repaired that from what the series I've seen so far against Playstomp. But again, Resurgence looked really good yesterday. And I feel like we're going to be seeing a really intense match. I mean, last time these two faced off against each other, it was a 2-0 with Deadlykittens having a 1-point advantage.
It's the back and forth of this throughout the years has been interesting.
Exactly.
Deadlykittens, of course, leading up to Eastern Clash number 2, just ran the table, didn't drop a map. This is a different roster. Again, Murinzes, the names that you're familiar with on Deadlykittens, are gone. They are over in Taiwan. But now you still got Stronger, you've got Inavir, and you've got NSJ, the core of that team. The double front line and NSJ playing whatever hero can go in and get numbers on the board and ramp up that kill count. That's what he does.
Yes.
They did it very well. The coordination is going to be there, so I'm excited to see what they're going to do against Resurgence. Again, yesterday dropping 2-0, but the Deadlykittens that I saw yesterday against Resurgence, I don't know what that was, but it was not their best performance, and they'll admit it. They'll admit it by far that was not their best performance. But if they can play like they did this game, I think they've got a really good shot in our grand finals, which are coming up next.
Yes, sir. We definitely, as we're going to be heading over to our grand finals later on. But first, we're going to be taking a short break, so don't go away.